Welcome to the Buffalo Sports Conversation Room. I'm your host, Jamie Malloy, ready to talk some Week 5 football with you all and my co-host, Joe Dalio. So let's bring him on. Here's Joe. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
It is going very well, Jamie. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. We just talked about backstage. That was a surprising game for the Bills, but it's going to happen, not the end of the world. We also talked about how nobody's undefeated and there's only one team right now that's winless. But I think in the 17-game era, we're not going to have somebody go 17-0 or 0-17. Same thing with the 18 game when that comes up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we know the Bills are not going to win every game, even though this one wasn't supposed to happen that way. And we'll certainly talk more about it a little bit later. And I agree with you. And you said it backstage, too. It's just the level of parity in this league allows for upset wins like that. In fact, there were several upset wins this weekend. But you're right. The level of parity in the NFL that keeps, staying at a high level, I think will prevent an undefeated season or a winless season, as you said, especially as the inevitable happens and we probably go to an 18-game schedule in the near future. But that's okay with me. I'll tell you that right now. I love the parity in the NFL. That's what makes it one of the reasons it makes it the great sport that it is. And certainly, as I said, I think we're going to see more of that as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, so, and like I said, you could also see the same thing that Patriots team that beat us, they're not the same Patriots team that for the last 2 years were 4-13. Like, they have a second-year quarterback, but now he's paired with an actual coach compared to last year, whereas he didn't really have a coach last year in his rookie year. But now when you actually give a young quarterback like Drake May like that a coach and a foundation like that, that team was built to beat Buffalo. You can tell they are.
Yeah, and it's not the first time it's going to happen, in the next few years here. So that's just a team that is developing and doing things the right way, and they're going to continue to develop. And they're going to go through their bumps in the road too, and they're going to continue to learn. But still, this has to be the biggest victory for them in the last couple of years.
It is. So, Joe, are you ready to talk about the Thursday night game against 2 3-1 teams with the San Francisco 49ers taking on the LA Rams at SoFi Stadium? Although it really felt like Santa Clara with all those 49er fans invading and barely any Rams fans in the seats at 8:15 p.m.
Yeah, that's a typical home game for the Rams, unfortunately. It's sad because they got such a great team. But, a lot of Santa Clara was downstate that
in a great stadium to be able to have a bunch of fans, it's going to host its second Super Bowl in this decade next year.
Yep. But, let's hear about that game.
Okay. So to begin the first quarter, Jake Tongues caught a 6-yard pass from Mac Jones. Mac Jones to bring the score to 7-0 San Francisco. To begin the second quarter, Christian McCaffrey caught a 1-yard pass from Jones to increase the 49ers lead to 14-0. With 2:09 left in the half, Kyren Williams from Notre Dame caught a 14-yard touchdown pass from Matthew Stafford, the ageless one, to cut the lead in half to 14-7 49ers. To close out the half, Eddie Pinheiro kicked a 37-yard field goal, bringing the score to 17-7 49ers. To begin the third quarter, Pinheiro kicked his second field goal of the evening, this time for 20 yards to increase the 49ers lead to 20-7. With 3:45 left in the third, Puka Nacua Matata caught a 1-yard pass from Matthews, cutting the score to 20-14 49ers. To start the fourth quarter, Williams caught his second touchdown for 8 yards, but the extra point was blocked to keep the score tied at 20-all. With 2:42 left in the fourth quarter, Panero kicked his third field goal, this time for 59 yards, to give the 49ers the lead back 23-20. With 2 seconds left in the game, Josh Carty kicked a 48-yard field goal to tie the game to bring it into
overtime.
With 5:51 left in OT, Panero kicked a 41-yard field goal, and the 49ers held off the Rams on their defensive stop, giving San Francisco the win, 26-23. So, Joe, what did you think of Mac Jones' performance in this game?
Amazing. He won me a few bucks because I had his over passing yards. So I'm certainly okay with that. But still, I think, when we say who, I think people are going to start saying Brock who, because I was telling a couple of 49ers fans that I know, I said, I don't think you take this guy out until he's not the guy anymore, because, he played a huge part in winning this game for them. And just with performances like that, like 340 yards, I think the prop I had was like 220 or something. It was not even close to that. I mean, he shattered it, but for sure, dominant performance. And again, I think the correct question is Brock who, because until Mac Jones shows that he's, not the guy, or if the 49ers start losing games, then I definitely think they keep him in the lineup here. So this is one of those games fun to watch. I didn't get to see a lot of it. I had the Rams winning it by 10. And again, I have a student in my class that's a huge 49ers fan, and he accepted my prediction. He's like, all right, win by 10. But of course, soon as he comes in the next day, who's the one that said that the Rams were going to win by 10? So he got me on that, and I said, hey, I was wrong. Kudos to the 49ers, because the biggest criticism for the 49ers is that, they got such an easy schedule. They don't play anybody. Well, here's the team that's supposed to win that division, according to the experts, and the 49ers going into their backyard and winning a game like this. So I don't think that claim is legitimate after a win like this. So great performance by the 49ers. And again, give the Rams kudos too. They got off to that slow start, and that's what killed them. But they came back and gave themselves a chance to win this game too. And they would have really put some distance between themselves and the 49ers had they, pulled this game out. But they didn't. And again, give a lot of credit to the 49ers, Mac Jones, and that's just a fantastic win. And again, it was nice that they had half of Santa Clara downstate in Los Angeles there, in Inglewood, wherever that stadium is. So great football game, as we've seen a ton of great football games already this year.
Exactly. And how important do you think that Joshua Carty missing that extra point hurt the Rams in the game? That would have made it a 21-20 game for the Rams, but instead it kept it tied.
Mm-hmm. Of course, I mean, ever since the NFL moved that extra point back, it's created situations like this, and it just adds drama to the game. So again, you see a lot more situations like that where a simple extra point, first of all, ain't so simple anymore. But second of all, a guy misses one, and it has ripple effects for that team down the road. So obviously that was a big factor, but you see that more and more these days with the extra point being moved back. And I think that's exactly what the NFL wanted.
They got it. So
Now
let's turn over our attention to the 1:00 p.m. where the 1-2-1 Dallas Cowboys, that dang tie, facing the 0-4 New York Jets. I still can't believe they were 0-4 with Aaron Glenn, but I mean, we'll talk about that, obviously, Joe, at MetLife Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
With their first drive of the game, the Jets took the ball down the field on a 7-minute and 17-second drive for 66 yards on 13 plays, resulting in a 25-yard field goal by ex-Cowboy Nick Folk, who haunted the Bills' dreams twice to win on Monday Night Football, because that first one, Buffalo called a timeout, but he made it. But bringing the score to 3-0. Jets, Jets. The Cowboys responded back with 5 minutes left in the first quarter with a 7-play, 2-minute and 46-second drive for 49 yards to tie it up with a 35-yard field goal by Brandon Aubrey. With 11:48 left in the second quarter, tight end Jake Ferguson, a.k.a. Fergie Ferg, let me love you long time, scored on a 13-play drive, running it on a 26-yard touchdown to give the Cowboys their first lead, 10-3. With 1:02 left in the half, the Cowboys drove the ball down the field on a 1-minute and 21-second drive for 91 yards on 7 plays, producing a 5-yard touchdown score by running back Javonte Williams to increase the Cowboys' lead to 17-3. To end the half, Dak Prescott threw a 1-yard pass to Ferguson, but Brandon Aubrey just missed the extra point, which is uncharacteristic of him, bringing the score to 23-3 Dallas. With 4:40 left in the third quarter, Prescott hit George Pickens for a 43-yard touchdown pass, increasing the Cowboys' lead to 30-3. With 57 seconds left in the third quarter, Folk went for his second field goal of the game, this time for 48 yards, cutting the Cowboys' lead to 30-6. At least calming the boos from the Jets fans to sarcastic cheers that they finally scored something. With 9:59 left in the fourth quarter, Justin Fields found Andrew Beck for a 1-yard touchdown pass and then made a 2-point conversion, bringing the score to 30-14 Cowboys. With 4:34 left in the fourth quarter, Prescott threw his fourth touchdown pass, this time to Williams, for a 4-yard score to increase the Cowboys' lead to 37-14. With 1:42 left in the game, Fields found Garrett Wilson in the end zone for a 9-yard score, and the 2-point conversion was made again, cutting the lead to 37-22 Cowboys. And the final score was 37-22 Dallas. So, Joe, what do you think about the Jets now at 0-5? And this is a team that we didn't think would be 0-5, but maybe it's one of those things like with the Lions. You know how Dan Campbell took the job and nobody wanted it, and he went 3-13-1, and Aaron Glenn was his defensive coordinator for that, and then they got it going. I wonder if this is what it is with the Jets, that they're taking a step back, away from the mediocrity of Robert Saleh to actually get better under Aaron Glenn. Do you feel like that it's what it could be?
Yeah, I honestly think they got the right guy there. I certainly don't blame him for the mess that they're in. He's eventually going to be the guy that gets him out of it, I think. But, he's going through growing pains just like the team is. But honestly, I think he's the right guy. And I know it's New York, but I hope the Jets have patience with him and know that he is the guy that could turn it around for them, because I think he's fully capable of doing that. Now,
I think they do know this time, though, Joe,
I agree.
because like I said, Jets fans are just going to be Jets fans, but Aaron Glenn knew what he was getting into. And guess what? He's lucky he took the job, because nobody really wanted that job and he took it, so obviously.
Yeah. And I think everybody realizes that. So I think you're right about that. I don't know. I just continue to give the Jets too much credit. Now they'll start winning when I stop giving them credit, right? I mean, I told countless people, again, one of my wrong predictions here, I said the Jets are going to win this game. They're due for a win. Dallas doesn't play well on the road. I definitely saw the Jets winning this game, and they weren't even close. It was all garbage time scores that they got. Now, I did think this was going to be a high-scoring game. I did pick the over in this game, and that certainly came through for me. It was like over 43, and there was 59 points or whatever it was. I made a switch to put Justin Fields in my quarterback for fantasy, thinking, hey, he's going to roll up the stats against a subpar Dallas D. And even though the game was long over, he did roll up those stats and get me a win and some points. So some things worked out the way I thought it was going to here. But, again, when we, put it together, we did get the offensive show that we expected here, but it was very lopsided, and the Cowboys had this game won by halftime. And again, 0-5 for the Jets. And like you said, Jamie, they're not going to go winless this year. They're going to win some games. They're going to figure things out before the end of the season. So again, you may hit a time, and again, maybe it's just me giving them too much credit, but I think you're going to hit a time later in the year where this is a team you don't want to play. The pressure will be off. They'll be out of the race and maybe have some things figured out by that point. Justin Fields, again, I think he's better than people think. So I still think this will be a team you don't want to play later in the season. And I as we just talked about, I think Glenn is the right guy for this job. And if they have patience with him, I think they'll figure that out and see that it's true.
Yeah, because think about it. Right now, who else is going to even want the job if
right.
they fire Glenn after a year? So they really have no choice but to give him patience.
Right.
And so, and like I said, Joe, like I don't know if you heard Tony Kornheiser on ESPN was like the Jets made a mistake getting rid of Aaron Rodgers, and he thinks Glenn's going to be gone after a year. But people don't really trust. That's why a lot of people don't really trust anything he says,
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second. First of all, I think it was the right move to move on from Aaron Rodgers. Again, is Justin Fields at the same level overall career-wise as Aaron Rodgers? Of course not. But at this point of their careers, as a Jets fan, if I'm a Jets fan, I'd rather have Justin Fields right now. And I think he's the right guy. And I think, again, he's better than people think. Again, he's not amazing. And, I think he's hit a level where he's not going to get much better. But, again, not a bad quarterback at all. Especially for this team. So I think it was the right move to move on from him. And again, it would be the wrong move to move on from Coach Glenn there. And I think they're smart enough not to do that. Now, again, saying Jets and smart in the same sentence isn't always accurate. But I think this time it is.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, and don't forget, we have some comments. Smoky Jeremy B said 0-5 with the Jets there. Don't forget, we're talking about Aaron Glenn, so we have two Lions people on here. Thank you, Jeremy, for the comment. And thank you, Kneecap Biting with the Motor saying, "What's up, Doe? Good to see you, gents. Good to see you too."
Good. Thanks so much for the comments.
And what I was going to say too, Joe, is you got to also look at, Aaron Rodgers is doing well with the Steelers, but you also have to look at he's going to be out of the league pretty soon. At least, Justin Fields is still going to probably still be in the league in the near future.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? It turned out well because I think Aaron Rodgers is in the right situation for himself right now and is a good match for the Steelers at this point. So worked out good for both teams.
Mm-hmm. And Aaron Glenn's a no BS guy. He wasn't going to put up with Rodgers' antics.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's why he took the job too, to do the league a favor and get him out of New York. That's a joke, Joe. But But anyway, do you think that the Cowboys really missed CeeDee Lamb in this game with their defense playing up to par, finally playing like the defense they should have been?
I still think Dallas is going to miss CeeDee Lamb in any game, no matter how well the defense is playing. I mean, obviously he makes contributions to that offense that not too many wide receivers can make. Love what Jake Ferguson's doing, especially because he's my fantasy tight end and continues to act as one of the top tight ends in the league right now. So certainly like what he's doing. And again, the supporting cast here doing just fine without CeeDee Lamb. But I'm sure they would certainly, love to have him back as soon as possible. And, again, no matter how well or not well the defense is doing, I think he's certainly missed in that offense.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, we have another comment from Kneecap Biting. He said, "Thought I'd hit both platforms, give you a couple of views." That's nice of you.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate it. So, anyway, now moving on to the 4:05 p.m. competition between 2, 3, and 1 teams again. Wow. The Tampa Bay Bucks, the Cardiac Buccaneers, led by America's quarterback, Baker Mayfield, versus the Seattle Seahawks, led by Sam Darnold at Lumen Field. Chase McLaughlin started out the scoring for the Bucks as he kicked a 30-yard field goal, giving the Bucks their first lead of the game, 3-0. With 14:08 left in the first quarter, McLaughlin kicked his second field goal of the game, this time for 36 yards, increasing the Bucks' lead to 6-0. With 2:09 left in the half, Rashad White ran it in for a 7-yard touchdown to bring the score to 13-7 Bucks. Or 13-0 Bucks. Excuse me, folks. My bad. With 6 seconds left in the half, Jackson Smith-Njigba caught a 6-yard pass from Sam Darnold to bring the score to 13-7. BUCS Bucks. Seattle opened up the third quarter with Zach Charbonnet, wine for everybody, scoring a 5-yard touchdown, bringing the score to 14-13 Seattle. With 6:52 left in the third, Emeka Peak Abuka caught a 20-yard pass from Baker Mayfield, bringing the score to 21-14 Tampa. With 4:12 left in the third quarter, A.J. Barner caught a 2-yard pass from Darnell, tying the game at 21-all. With 19 seconds left in the quarter, White ran it in for a 1-yard touchdown to bring the score to 28-21 Tampa at the end of 3. With 9:48 left in the fourth quarter, Bomber caught a 6-yard pass from Darnell to bring the score to 28-all. Seattle retook the lead as Torrey Horton caught a 21-yard pass from Darnell to bring their lead to 35-28. With 1:08 left in the game, Sterling Shepard caught an 11-yard pass from Mayfield, tying the game at 35-all. As time expired, McLaughlin kicked a 39-yard field goal to give the Bucks another thrilling win, 38-35. So, Joe, what did you think about Tampa making another come from behind victory? I guess you have America's team in the Cowboys. Now you have America's quarterback at Baker Mayfield with the cardiac Bucks, right?
Well, what'd you say in the beginning before you started describing that game? The cardiac Bucks, right? Yeah. I think that is certainly the case. Now, let's go back a few years. All right, let's go back to April 2018. Okay, it's draft day, and this is what people are envisioning, right? We have a new rivalry developing. New York Jets, Cleveland Browns, right? With these two quarterbacks going head-to-head for years. This is the type of matchup we envisioned, right? And this is what we saw, except it wasn't the Browns and the Jets, was it? These guys have had some transitions in their careers. And here we are, Bucs Seahawks, with this big Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield rivalry that we expected 7 years ago. And now we might have this going forward for a few years and a big rivalry here. Both performed exceptionally the other day. Both had quarterback ratings like in the 135 range, which is incredible. I mean, it was just a well-played game. All aspects of it, very fun. Now, I didn't see the game completely. I was watching NFL Red Zone, and certainly they were making several trips back to this game. So I was able to track it and catch whatever I could from that. But certainly such a well-played game. And again, great to see these quarterbacks that 7 years ago were supposed to be the future of the NFL here. 3 years ago, we thought both of them were done, right? Or a lot of people did. I don't know. Darnold, I would admit, I didn't see this happening. I'm not as surprised that Mayfield recovered, but still great to see from these guys that were drafted so highly and touted so highly, and that I thought should have been drafted ahead of Josh Allen, right? I said it back then. I would rather have either of these two than Josh Allen, right? And again, that's 2018. That's not me now. Again, on one of my many wrong predictions there. But great to see these two guys going at it like that and both playing exceptional games. It's a shame somebody had to lose this game. And two of the best teams in the NFC at this point.
Hey, Joe, you know what, though? It may have worked out for the better. You know why? Because instead of getting a potential Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, or a Josh Allen, Sam Darnold in the AFC Championship game, now it could be a potential Super Bowl matchup with the Bills and the Bucks, Allen versus Mayfield or Allen versus Darnold. How cool would that be if our first Super Bowl was against Baker Mayfield?
For a Super Bowl would be awesome. And it's great for the Bills too that they wouldn't have to face one of these guys in the AFC Championship game, for example. Right. I mean, I know there's no good quarterbacks in the AFC, are there? And that's a joke, of course, but including one that's got the Bills' number every playoff year. But certainly, again, to have these guys outside of the conference certainly helps and clears the Bills' path a little bit there. But yeah, but wouldn't that be cool? Facing one of these guys in the Super Bowl like that would be awesome. But these guys are playing like they want to be in the Super Bowl. And certainly if they continue to play like this, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
And we're going to mention, Joe, that one quarterback that has their number in the playoffs. We're going to talk about them later on in the program because they look like they don't even look like a shell of themselves. I mean, it looks like a lot of that quarterback and that core of players, I think, is getting old now, and they may have to, obviously keep Mahomes, but Kelsey may have to go, and they may have to start, building a younger team around Mahomes, a younger core now.
Right. And that happens, and no shame in that. Of course, I wouldn't have a problem with that, but no shame in that. And it's the Chiefs, which is a great organization. And, they'll certainly, it's like the Patriots. It didn't take them too long to recover, did it? Right. I mean, they're still in the process, but I think the Chiefs would be the same thing. I don't think they'd be down for too long if it gets to a point where they have to rebuild.
Now, also, what did you think of Sam Darnold's admirable performance in this game? I mean, he didn't beat Baker, but he at least went toe-to-toe with him, which is what you wanted to see in that type of matchup.
Like I said, he had still 135 or so quarterback rating, 340 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, that's usually what would cause 135 quarterback rating. So he was playing like he wanted to win this game and certainly gave his team a chance to do so. So again, like you said, I like the word you used just there, admirable. I think it was definitely an admirable performance by both quarterbacks.
So anyway, now on to our game of the week, Joe. The Sunday night 8:20 p.m. showdown. Yep, an exciting but unfortunately disappointing outcome for you and I and the Bills fans who follow this channel. But if you're a Patriots fan, you're doing backflips, but you're not satisfied either. It's like the same thing with us. We're upset, but we continue. Well, what do you do after a win? You get to work. What do you do after a loss? You get to work. It's the same mindset for both teams now.
Right.
So we have the 2-2 New England Patriots taking on the 4-0 Buffalo Bills in the potentially the last Sunday night game on NBC at this current Highmark Stadium. They mentioned that in the broadcast.
They said that a few times.
Yeah. With 59 seconds left in the first quarter, Andy Borregales kicked a 30-yard field goal to give the Patriots the lead, 3-0. And the Bills responded with a Matt Prater field goal kick of 31 yards to knock the score at 3-3. With 1 second left in the half, Borregales kicked his second field goal of the game, this time for 19 yards to take the lead at halftime, 6-3 New England. And there, had to adjust my camera. With 9:24 left in the third, Allen drove the team in 10 plays, 71 yards down the field with a 6-yard touchdown pass to Curtis Samuel, giving the Bills their first lead of the game, 10-6. And the Patriots responded with 6:36 left in the third quarter as Drake, it's gonna be May, drove down the field, 74 yards in 5 plays, taking 2:47 off the clock, while connected with Ramondre fumble-prone Stevenson. Although he didn't fumble on this one, on a 4-yard touchdown to bring the score to 13-10 New England. With 12:14 left in the fourth quarter, Stevens has scored his second touchdown of the night, this time for 7 yards on an 11-play, 90-yard drive to increase New England's lead 20-10. But just like the cardiac Bucks, here come the cardiac Bills again. Right, Joe?
That's it.
And the Bills responded with 7:40 left in the fourth quarter as Josh Allen marched down the field 74 yards in 8 plays using 4:33 off the clock while hooking up with Keon Coleman and a 2-yard touchdown to cut the lead to 20-17 New England. With 2:21 left in the fourth quarter, Prater kicked his second field goal of the game, this time for 45 yards to tie the game at 20-all. With 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter, Borregales kicked a 52-yard field goal to seal their win and give Buffalo its first loss of the season with the final score 23-20 New England. So, Joe, what do you think of a hard-fought game only for the Bills to come out in the end just a little bit short?
Well, I'm going to start with a question for you, Jamie. How many minutes are in an NFL football game?
60.
Okay. We have a team here in Buffalo that seems to think that it's less than that and seems to think that they don't have to start playing serious football until about the 40-minute mark. So and this is not just this game. We saw that with the first game. We saw that with last week's game against New Orleans that they almost lost there. So it's an issue. And, this team seemed to come out unprepared, not ready to play, as proven with the mistakes that were made. And again, we know that the Bills don't turn the ball over a lot, especially Josh Allen, but it happened a lot in the first half, and they just didn't seem ready to play. And, to me, that's a little bit concerning. And that's on the coaching staff, I believe. Not only the coaching staff, but the players too. So if you and I, and probably anybody watching this, knows that a football game is a 60-minute process, I don't understand why the Bills don't understand that. So that's got to change. And they're going to have to show up in the beginning of these games and fight in the beginning of these games so that they don't have to, be the cardiac Bills and pull out these miracles at the end. Because I thought so, and I'm sure you did too, Jamie, that even though things weren't going good up until that point, I still thought they were going to pull out a victory here. Again, just like last week against the Saints. Ooh, a little scary. It could have gone either way, and they could have potentially lost this game. But I think everybody, the Bills fans thought still, Bills are going to win this game. It's just going to be ugly like it's been the last couple of times. So it didn't happen that way. So credit New England for that. Credit the Bills, I guess, for trying to come back and they did tie it there and gave themselves a chance to win. But they got to play full games here, and they're going to get themselves into trouble continually if they don't. And I think everybody, coaching, players, everybody involved, is going to have to change that. So I don't mean to be sore after a loss. They happen, and as we said, they're going to lose more games this season. But you got to show up earlier and start playing early and be more prepared for these games.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about Stephon Diggs' play making his return to Buffalo? He haunted the Bills' dreams.
Right. You want to talk about admirable, that word that we were using for the previous game? I very much admired the way Diggs played. He seemed humble. He wasn't looking to make waves or cause problems or create controversy. He just came in. You could tell he wanted to play a good game first time back here, and he certainly did that. And so I tip my hat to him because I liked his attitude. I liked his level of competition, and certainly the results were there too. So I think you have to respect what he did in that game.
You do. I do. What do you think about James Cook being out to under 100 yards rushing for the first time this year?
That's on the Patriots, in my opinion. That's they just came in with a plan, and I think they had a plan to stop him and focus on him and make sure that he didn't explode like he has in some of those other games. So, again, players are going to have off games. And again, there's so many players that are up and down like that and great one week and down another week. And like you said, Cook hasn't had down weeks this week. So And I didn't see anything that he was doing differently or that he was doing wrong. I think that's just a credit to the Patriots defense.
Yeah, I think it is. You do got to give a lot of credit to the Bills defense. They found a way to just, neutralize Cook, and that hasn't happened all season.
And pretty much the entire offense. Again, the Bills hurt themselves. What they have 3 turnovers, and that never happens. We're so used to the Bills, not turning things over and winning that turnover battle. But, it didn't happen here in this game. And again, Josh Allen's stats weren't horrible, like 253 yards, a couple of touchdowns. He ran for 53 yards. Little less as far as, not as many people ate in the game. Only 6 pass receivers. And again, we're used to seeing like 8, 9, 10 targets. I mean, 8 players were targeted. A couple didn't catch passes there. Dalton Kincaid, great game by him again. 6 catches, 108 yards. Curtis Samuel and Keon Coleman had touchdowns there. So, it wasn't all lost and a horrible game by the offense. Didn't think the defense played that bad either. There was some improvements. I think you mentioned that earlier. So just, again, the sloppiness and the not preparedness, I think that's what cost the Bills here. And it was going to eventually. And this team took advantage of it. And that cost the Bills a victory. Because, again, when you look at it statistically, yet was it one of the Bills' better games that way too? No. But it really wasn't horrible. And these guys had stats minus James Cook, as we just mentioned. But again, I credit the Patriots defense for that.
Mm-hmm. Now, so Joe, before we turn it over to you for our injury update segment, let's give our prediction for next week's game against Atlanta on Monday Night Football. Joe, so and I know before we start, this was a game where we both had we both had them staying undefeated for one more week, and then we said this was the game that they were going to get their first loss. What do you think now, Joe, that our first loss came a week before our prediction?
Yeah, I thought about it. I was like, well, this might change things and everything, but I'm still going to predict a defeat here. Because, again, I think one of the reasons that I predicted that the Bills would lose this game coming up in Atlanta is that the Falcons and their young team would be pumped up on Monday Night Football, playing at home, playing in front of the entire country with a high-quality opponent coming in. I think they were going to pull out all the stops and, really show up for that game. And I still think that's going to happen. I think the Bills do learn from this and they play well and they do show up and fix some of those errors that they had. And they don't turn the ball over like they did in this game. But I think it's going to be a high-quality game. And I'm still going to predict that the score will be Falcons 28, Bills 24.
Well, see, I think that now that the bad games finally, the bad preparation finally led to a loss against New England. The Bills historically, when they've lost a game like this, they usually have a bounce back game. And I'm going to change my prediction. I think the Bills, like you, Joe, I think they're going to fix their mistakes. And I think Atlanta's still going to play well, but I think the Bills fix their mistakes and play just as well enough to win. I'm going to say the Bills, I'm going to say they're going to win. I'm going to say 31 to 14.
31-14. Okay.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. I think we're both on the same page there. We're going to see a much different team, a much more fine-tuned, less sloppiness, any of that stuff. But I think they might run into a buzzsaw here in a team that's bound and determined and still thinks that they can win their division, which they can if they, if things go right. So, I'm talking about the Falcons, but we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills, again, maybe the Falcons run into the buzzsaw here and a ticked off, bound and determined Bills team that does win by 2.5 touchdowns. So wouldn't be surprised either way. I just think, that, and again, it's happens every year to the Bills, right? There comes a time in each season where there's a little bit of a panic, and if I think they're going into the bye after that, correct? I forgot to
Mhm.
look at the schedule there, but I think the bye is after. So again, going into the bye 4-2 for the Bills, we thought it would be 5-1, and it could still be. But even 4-2 wouldn't be the end of the world. And it's not like you got teams, not that you take things for granted. And now, again, as of now, anyway, the Patriots have a tiebreaker against the Bills. And if they get hot, then you'll have a team on the Bills' tails. But I don't think we're at a point yet where this division is, they're going to have teams really in contention with them when all is said and done. Still,
Mhm.
you can't give away games, and you got to win as many as you can, because again, you want to talk about maybe having home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs
Mhm.
there too, and that's something that the Bills have to keep in mind as well.
Mhm. Anyway, now let's move on to the last game of the week, the Monday night 8:15 matchup between the 2-2 Kansas City Chiefs taking on the 3-1 Jacksonville Jaguars at Everbank Stadium. With 4:02 left in the first quarter, Travis Kelce caught a 2-yard pass for Patrick Mahomes to bring the score to 7-0 Chiefs. With 10:44 left in the second quarter, Mahomes kept it himself, scoring a touchdown to increase the Chiefs' lead 14-0. The Jaguars responded back as Parker Washington caught a 3-yard pass from Trevor Lawrence to cut the lead to 14-7 Chiefs. With 8:40 left in the third, Lawrence kept it himself, scoring a touchdown to tie the game at 14-all. With 2:19 left in the third, Devin Lloyd intercepted Mahomes' pass and ran it in for a touchdown, bringing the score at 21-14 Jacksonville. With 12:20 left in the fourth, Kareem Hunt ran it in for a 5-yard touchdown score to tie the game at 21-all. With 8:08 left in the fourth quarter, Cam Little hit a big 52-yard field goal to give Jacksonville the lead back at 24-21. With 1:45 left in the game, Hunt ran it in for his second touchdown of the evening, this time for Tours, giving Casey the lead at 28-24. However, with 23 seconds left, Trevor Lawrence ran it in like a jungle cat for a 1-yard touchdown to give Jacksonville the win, and all of us Bills fans some needed relief. And it brought the final score to 31-28 Jacksonville. So, Joe, what did you think about Jacksonville finally getting a statement win against a modern-day dynasty team on Monday Night Football?
Yeah, I mean, that was a really fun game to watch. Now, I don't usually stay up and watch Monday Night Football games, and I probably slept at points during this game. I was picking my daughter up at the airport, who she wasn't getting in till midnight. So, I was going to be up anyway, and, called into work this morning. So figure why not? And this game was extremely entertaining. And I don't think in all the years that Jacksonville's been in the league, I don't ever remember that place being as amped up as they were last night. And Jaguar fans, if anybody's watching, can correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't ever remember, even when they were a playoff team, I don't ever remember them being jacked up that much for a game. And so that was fun to watch there too. And obviously, kind of like the results, and don't know if I'm sold on the Jaguars. However, look at the AFC South, and things are going a little bit differently there than people expected. Look at the Colts and their 4-1 record, and they're playing great football. And the Jaguars right in the mix there. Didn't see this coming, and the Texans with a subpar record at this point. Now, they could certainly get themselves back into the mix, but everybody, including myself, had the Texans winning this division by default. And now all of a sudden you got two teams that are playing legitimate football that can, win this division and perhaps make some noise in the playoffs as well. Now, I'm not putting the Jaguars there yet. I know they're 4-1. I know they're playing great football. They just beat a great Chiefs team in front of everybody here on Monday Night Football. But again, can this team possibly win that division? I think a definite yes to that. So we'll stay tuned and see what goes on. But, for somebody like me that was just killing time and waiting and watching the game before I had to go run an errand late at night, I was thoroughly entertained, and I thought it was an excellent game.
Yeah, it was. And don't forget, Joe, they have a new head coach, Liam Cohen. And I said to everybody that was going to be a good hire because he developed Matthew Stafford as an offensive coordinator with Sean McVay. And then look at what he did with Baker Mayfield and as Todd Bowles' offensive coordinator. So this guy's a QB whisperer. And now Trevor Lawrence who is about to be a bust. He's playing some of the best football of his young career so far because of Cohen.
Yeah, and I wasn't ready to write off Trevor Lawrence just yet. Anyway, again, he maybe wasn't having the success that people thought he would. But I didn't think it was right to write him off. And certainly I was very impressed with this coach. I didn't know that much about him. I, hadn't seen any Jaguars games this year. But I was very impressed by the moves he made and how he handled even when there was adversity. And, that team, if the calmness that he had, I don't know how many delay of game penalties the Jaguars had. And I guess they lead the league or something like that. And
that's because they're running all those cat, the pre-snap line of scrimmage. They got Trevor Lawrence doing, and they're not used to it. They got to learn how to do it right. Peyton Manning used to do all that. They got Trevor Lawrence doing that now.
And that's a good point. But still, if I'm the coach of a team like that, I'm pulling what little hair I have left out of my head. And just to see this guy's demeanor on the sideline and the calmness, even as things were getting crazy and exciting, is just the calm demeanor. And, again, he obviously knows how to work with quarterbacks because he's had that success in the past. And I think he might be resurrecting a career here as well in Trevor Lawrence that, again, I thought was still okay, but he's certainly taken him to a higher level here. And again, I'm not ready to put the Jaguars in the Super Bowl anytime soon, but are they in line to potentially win the AFC South? I think they made that statement as a yes with last night's win.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget, he's a young Sean McVay, one of those assistants. So that's the type of coach you kind of want now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and doesn't it look good to see the Chiefs go down on Monday Night Football?
Loved it.
Anyway, Joe, guess what? We finally have time to do this. We've been waiting to do this. But our show has been cut short. It's finally that time in our show for our Question of the Week segment.
All right, I'm ready. This has been 3 weeks, and I understand. We had so many good things to talk about here and loaded our show with great information. But yes, I am glad we have some time for a trivia question here.
Okay, Joe.
Hopefully I'll be saying that after I answer it too.
Okay, Joe, for the first time in 3 weeks, here's your trivia question for the Buffalo Sports Conversation Room for episode 7, season 3. Can you guess this NFL quarterback? He has had the most wins through his first 100 starts. Is it Patrick Mahomes, the GOAT, Tom Brady, Big Ben Roethlisberger, or John I Wanted Elway?
Very good question. Obviously, 4 excellent quarterbacks. I don't know the answer to this. I'm just going to guess. And I am going to say Patrick Mahomes.
Ding, ding, ding. You are correct, Joe. In first place was Patrick Mahomes with 78 wins. Second place was the GOAT Tom Brady with 74. Third is John Elway with 71. And in fourth place, last but not least, Ben Roethlisberger with an even 70 burger. Roethlisberger with a 70 burger.
I would have probably put Elway last because I think his team struggled the first year or two he was with them. He took him to the playoffs the second year, I think he was there. But okay, yeah. I nice to get off the schneid here. I didn't think I answered too many correct questions when we were doing the questions. So good to get back on the right track.
Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? It looks like we come to the end of our show. So, Joe, where can we find you in the social media world on Tuesday, October 7th, 2025, the first Buffalo Sports Conversation Room of October?
Can't believe it's October, right? We're like more than a quarter of the way through the NFL regular season already. I feel like we were just making predictions and looking ahead to the season, and now here we are more than a quarter of the way through. Crazy. But anyway, Joe Dell Sports on Twitter X, you can find me there, and then making appearances on this network here. Other shows such as the open mic segment coming up at 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. And then you can find me, yours truly, on Bills Chat 1 at Bills Mafia Chat, and also at Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dogtags and at theforkball.com, where I write about all sports. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and ring the bell for notifications. For more content on Driving to the Top Productions, please visit our YouTube page, Twitch stream, Facebook stream, X stream, wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you very much for listening. And remember, folks, there are no more undefeated teams left in the NFL. Let's hope our Buffalo Bills get back to work this week and bounce back for Monday night. And shout out goes to quarterback Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars for taking down Kansas City on Monday Night Football. And to quarterback for Chris Berman. Nobody circles the wagons, even in a Sunday night loss in a whiteout crowd, and the team is now 4-1, like the Buffalo Bills. See you next week, folks.
Have a great week, everybody.